Has this ever happened to you? You wake up to the blaring sound of an alarm clock. A digital scream that signals the beginning of another trade, 5 days of your life exchanged for 2 days of freedom. You drag yourself out of bed, pour coffee into a travel mug, and sit in traffic, surrounded by thousands of other souls trapped in metal boxes, all heading to a glass tower where they will spend the best hours of their sunlight building someone else's dream. This is the slow lane. It is the script that society has handed you since birth. Go to school. Get good grades. Get a safe job. Save 10% of your paycheck. Invest in a diversified portfolio of stocks. And wait. Wait until you are 65. Wait until your hair is gray and your joints are stiff. Wait until the best years of your life are a fading memory. Then, and only then, are you allowed to be rich. This is the Get Rich Slow scheme. And M.J. DeMarco, the protagonist of our explosive narrative, realized early on that Get Rich Slow is actually Get Rich Old. The Millionaire Fastlane is not a book, it is a declaration of war against this mediocrity. It begins with a young MJ, a dreamer suffocating in the suburbs of Chicago, sweeping floors and feeling the crushing weight of a life that was slipping away 1 hourly wage at a time. He was a slowlaner in training, but his soul was screaming for an exit. The narrative takes us to a freezing winter day in Chicago. MJ is a teenager, disillusioned and depressed. He is standing in a parking lot, the wind cutting through his jacket. When he sees it, it is a Lamborghini Countach. It is low, wide, and aggressive, a spaceship among sedans. It defies the gray reality of the parking lot. For MJ, this car was a portal to another dimension. He had been conditioned to believe that people who drove cars like that were either celebrities, athletes, or heirs to massive fortunes. They were the lucky few. But when the driver stepped out, he wasn't an NBA star or a rock god. He was a young man, barely in his 20s, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. MJ, possessed by a desperate curiosity, mustered the courage to ask the question that would change the trajectory of his life. What do you do for a living? The young man smiled, unlocking the door to the impossible, and replied, I'm an inventor. That single sentence shattered the slow lane script. An inventor, not a lottery winner, not a trust fund baby, a creator. In that moment, the fast lane was revealed. It wasn't about luck, it was about a process. The narrative follows MJ as he becomes obsessed. He devours books on finance, biographies of tycoons, and treatises on economics. He realizes that the advice given by the financial gurus, the save $50 a month and you'll be a millionaire in 40 years crowd, was a lie. These gurus weren't getting rich by saving coupons, they were getting rich by selling millions of books about saving coupons. They were fastlaners masquerading as slowlaners. They were selling shovels to the gold diggers while telling the diggers that the gold was in the digging itself. MJ decided he would not dig. He would build the shovel factory. But the road to the fast lane is not paved with gold, it is paved with failure. The story descends into the sidewalk. Before one can understand the fast lane, one must understand the sidewalker. MJ describes the sidewalk as the path of least resistance. The sidewalker's financial plan is simple: spend everything. They are the consumers of the world. They buy the latest iPhone, the designer clothes, and the financed cars to signal status they do not possess. Their formula for wealth is wealth equals income plus debt . They are one paycheck away from disaster. The sidewalker believes that wealth is an event, a lottery win, a lawsuit settlement, a casino jackpot. They are waiting for a miracle. The narrative paints a grim picture of this existence. A life of perpetual anxiety masked by flashing lights and shiny objects. MJ realized that even high-income earners could be sidewalkers. The doctor earning $200 a year who spends $210 to maintain a mansion and a country club membership is just a sidewalker in a suit. He is broke, he just has better credit. MJ knew he wasn't a sidewalker. But he was trapped in the slow lane. The slow lane is the middle-class script. It is the path of the responsible citizen. The slowlaner sacrifices today for a tomorrow that might never come. Their formula is wealth equals job plus market investments . The problem, as MJ analyzes with brutal precision, is uncontrollable limited math. In a job, your income is limited by time. You can only work 24 hours a day. You cannot scale yourself. You cannot trade 4.000 hours a day. Furthermore, you have no control. A boss can fire you. The economy can crash. The stock market can tank. The slowlaner is driving a car where the steering wheel is held by the corporation and the accelerator is held by Wall Street. They are passengers in their own lives, hoping the ride ends safely at the retirement home. MJ refused to be a passenger. He wanted to drive. The turning point comes when MJ decides to burn the ships. He packs his meager belongings into his beat-up car and moves to Phoenix, Arizona. He has no job, no friends, and $900 to his name. This is the archetype of the fastlane venture. It requires a departure from the comfort zone. In Phoenix, he works as a limousine driver. It is a humbling, exhausting job, but the limousine becomes his classroom. He listens to the conversations of the wealthy passengers in the back seat. He notices a pattern. They don't talk about 401k matching or coupon clipping. They talk about business deals, equity, and systems. They talk about ownership. One night, while waiting for a client, MJ has an epiphany. He realizes that the limousine industry is fragmented and inefficient. People in New York want to book limos in Phoenix but have to search through the yellow pages. The internet was just emerging, a wild frontier of opportunity. MJ decides to build a website, a directory for limousine services. He teaches himself to code. He stays up until 4 a.m., eyes bleeding from the glare of the CRT monitor. Fueled by cheap ramen and the fear of poverty, he launches the site. At first, it is silence, then a trickle, then a stream. He gets his first check for lead generation. It wasn't much, maybe enough to buy a pizza, but it was the most important check of his life. Why? Because it was passive. He made that money while he was sleeping. He had detached his time from his income. He had stepped onto the fast lane. The analysis of this phase reveals the core distinction of the fast lane, the law of effection. MJ argues that to make millions, you must affect millions. In the slow lane, you affect a few people, your boss, your coworkers, maybe a few clients. Your value is intrinsic to your presence. In the fast lane, your value is extrinsic. You build a system that touches thousands or millions of lives. The limousine website didn't need MJ to drive the cars, it just needed him to maintain the server. The website worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It didn't call in sick. It didn't ask for a raise. It was an asset. This introduces the fastlane wealth equation. Wealth equals net profit plus asset value. Net profit asterisk is units sold x unit profit. In the slow lane, units sold is hours worked, which is capped. In the fast lane, units sold is products or services sold, which is theoretically unlimited. You can sell 1 million apps. You cannot work 1 million hours. Asset value asterisk is net profit x industry multiplier. This is the turbocharger. If a slowlaner saves $50, they have $50. If a fastlaner builds a business that generates $50 in profit, and the industry multiplier is 10x, they have created an asset worth $500. They can sell it and realize that wealth instantly. This is how the rich get rich fast. They build assets that the market values, and then they liquidate them. Back in the narrative, MJ's business starts to grow, but so does his complacency. He falls into the trap of the sidewalking business owner. He starts spending the money as fast as it comes in. He buys a Corvette. He moves into a nicer apartment. He stops innovating. He ignores customer complaints. And then, the market punches him in the face. The dot-com bubble bursts. Competitors arise. His income plummets. He is forced to sell the business for a fraction of its potential value, pennies on the dollar, just to survive. He is back to square one. This failure is critical. It teaches the lesson that a fastlane vehicle needs a fastlane driver. You cannot drive a Ferrari with a sidewalker mindset, you will crash. Depressed but not defeated, MJ reclaims his creation. He buys his own company back a year later when the new owners run it into the ground. But this time, he returns with a vengeance. He stops playing the victim. He stops blaming the economy. He implements the sense, framework, control, entry, need, time, scale, before he even names it. He focuses on control. He refuses to rely on third-party ad networks and builds his own revenue model. He focuses on need. He listens to what the limo companies are screaming for and builds features to solve their specific pain points. He focuses on scale. He expands the directory nationwide. Then worldwide. The work is grueling. The myth of the 4-hour workweek is debunked here, at least in the building phase. The fast lane is not about laziness, it is about front-loading the effort. MJ works 12, 14, 16 hours a day. He sacrifices his social life. He sacrifices his comfort. But he is not working in the business, he is working on the business. He is building the machine. And slowly, the machine starts to hum. The checks get bigger. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. Then came the day that defines the fastlane existence. MJ was sick, lying in bed with a high fever, unable to work for days. He logged into his account, expecting to see zeros. Instead, he saw that while he was shivering under the covers, his business had made more money than he used to make in a month of driving limos. He had achieved the holy grail, financial freedom. He was no longer trading time for money. He was trading value for money. The narrative momentum builds toward the liquidation event. The business is now a cash cow, pumping out hundreds of thousands of dollars. Investors come knocking. They want to buy the machine. This is the moment every fastlaner dreams of. The exit. MJ sits across the table from the suits. They slide a piece of paper across the mahogany desk. The number on it is life-changing. It is not just retirement money, it is generational money. It is the kind of money that buys the Lamborghini, the mansion, and, most importantly, the time. MJ signs the papers. In a single signature, he condenses 40 years of slow lane saving into one fast lane moment. He walks out of the building, the sun hitting his face. A free man in his 30s. He doesn't have to wait until he is 65. He has hacked the game. But the story doesn't end with the sale. The sale is just the proof of concept. The real substance of the book lies in the deconstruction of the philosophy that got him there. MJ looks back at the slow lane drivers, his friends, his family, the people still stuck in traffic, and he feels a rage. He sees them being fed lies by financial gurus who tell them to live below their means, while the gurus live in mansions funded by the very books that preach frugality. He sees the compound interest myth for what it is. A tool for the wealthy to stay wealthy, not for the poor to get wealthy. He realizes that inflation eats savings faster than interest grows them. He realizes that the stock market is a casino where the house, the brokers, always wins. And the players, the slowlaners, take all the risk. This anger fuels the second part of the narrative. MJ transforms from the protagonist into the mentor. He stands before the reader, grabbing them by the shoulders, shaking them awake. Stop hoping, he screams. Hope is not a strategy. Probability is not a strategy. The slow lane is built on uncontrollable limited math. You are betting on a job you can lose, a market you can't control, and a lifespan you can't guarantee. The fast lane is built on controllable unlimited math. You control the product, you control the price, you control the marketing, and the market is unlimited. The analysis of the wealth concept is redefined. MJ introduces the trinity of wealth. It is not just money. 1. Family, relationships, What good is money if you are alone? 2. Fitness, health, What good is money if you are dead or dying? 3. Freedom, choice, This is the crown jewel. Freedom to live where you want, do what you want, and answer to no one. The slow lane sacrifices freedom, time, and often fitness, stress, and family over work, in the hope of getting money. The fast lane uses money to buy freedom, protect fitness, and nurture family. As we close the first chapter of this summary, we leave the young, successful MJ standing next to his Lamborghini, not as a symbol of vanity, but as a trophy of validation. He has proven that the guru path was a lie. He has proven that you don't need a degree from Wharton or a trust fund from Daddy. You need a shift in mindset. You need to switch from being a consumer to a producer. You need to stop buying the pizza and start selling the franchise. The engine of the fast lane is revving. The roadmap has been unfolded. But now, the real work begins. How does one actually find a fast lane idea? How does one distinguish a gold mine from a landmine? The next part of the journey dives into the sense framework. The 5 commandments that separate the true business empires from the glorified hobbies. The road ahead is dangerous, fast, and unforgiving, but for those who dare to merge, the destination is a life of limitless possibility. If a man builds a house on a foundation of sand, he should not be surprised when it collapses during the first storm. Yet millions of aspiring entrepreneurs build their financial futures on the quicksand of passion, trends, and easy money, only to watch their dreams vanish into the abyss of bankruptcy. The narrative of the millionaire fast lane now shifts from the awakening of MJ DeMarco to the construction of the fast lane vehicle. Having rejected the slow lane script of job plus 401k, MJ realized that simply owning a business is not enough. A business can be a job in disguise, a job where you work 80 hours a week for a lunatic boss, yourself, for less money than you made as an employee. To distinguish a fast lane business from a job trap, MJ codified the *5 commandments of sense control, entry, need, time, and scale. These are not suggestions, they are the laws of physics in the universe of wealth. Violate 1, and your speed is limited. Violate 2 or more, and you crash. The narrative dissects these commandments with the precision of a surgeon cutting out a tumor, revealing why 90% of small businesses fail within 5 years. The first law is the commandment of need. This is the most violated law in the history of entrepreneurship. The world is filled with passionate bakers, aspiring artists, and life coaches who start businesses based on what they love, what they are good at, and what they want to do. They operate under the narcissistic delusion that the market cares about their desires. MJ stands before them like a ruthless judge and delivers the verdict. The market does not care about you. It does not care about your passion, your mortgage, your sick dog, or your desire to express yourself. The market is a selfish, cold-hearted beast that cares only about one thing: what's in it for me? The narrative introduces the archetype of the selfish producer. This producer does not start with, "I want to bake cupcakes." He starts with, "People are complaining that there are no gluten-free options in this neighborhood." He identifies a need. He identifies a pain. He identifies a gap. MJ argues that money is like a jealous lover. If you ignore it and chase passion, it eludes you. But if you ignore passion and chase problems, money throws itself at you. The "follow your passion" advice is exposed as a dangerous platitude. Passion does not pay bills, solving problems pays bills. If your passion solves a problem, e.g., you love coding and you build a tool that saves companies millions, you are lucky. But for most, passion is a hobby. The fast lane entrepreneur divorces their ego from their product. They become a servant to the market's needs. The second law is the commandment of entry. This law states, as barrier to entry falls, competition rises. If anyone can start your business in a weekend with $100, it is not a fast lane business. The narrative takes us to a crowded seminar room filled with hopefuls signing up for a network marketing (MLM) scheme or a drop shipping course. The guru on stage tells them, "It's easy, no inventory, be your own boss." MJ looks at this room and sees a slaughterhouse. If it is easy, the road is crowded, and when the road is crowded, there is traffic, and in traffic, no one moves fast. The easy road is a crowded road. To succeed, you must do what others will not or cannot do. You must choose the road less traveled, which is usually paved with difficulty, complexity, and risk. The narrative uses the metaphor of the gold rush. During the California gold rush, the people who got rich were not the miners digging in the dirt, low barrier to entry. It was the shopkeepers selling shovels and pickaxes, high barrier to entry, control. The miner is gambling, the shopkeeper is capitalizing. MJ warns against businesses that are events, joining a program, buying a kit. A real business is a process. It requires learning to code, learning to manufacture, securing patents, or navigating regulations. The difficulty is the moat that protects your castle. If you are not solving a difficult problem, you are not building a valuable asset. The third law is the asterisk commandment of control. This is the most terrifying law because it exposes the fragility of modern digital entrepreneurship. MJ tells the story of the hitchhiker. Imagine a man who builds a mansion on land he does not own. He builds a massive audience on YouTube. He builds a thriving store on Amazon. He makes millions from Google AdSense. He feels rich. He feels secure. But he is a hitchhiker in someone else's car. One day, the driver, Google, Amazon, YouTube, decides to change the radio station. They change the algorithm. They ban the account. They launch a competing product, Amazon Basics. In an instant, the hitchhiker is thrown out of the moving car. His income drops to zero overnight. The fastlane entrepreneur demands asterisk control. They must own the platform. They must own the customer list. They must own the brand. They must own the distribution. MJ recounts his own experience with his limousine directory. He didn't just list limos on someone else's site, he owned the site. He controlled the pricing. He controlled the terms. If you are an Uber driver, you are violating the commandment of control. You are a passenger in Uber's business model. If you own a fleet of private cars and have direct contracts with corporate clients, you are in control. The narrative urges the reader to stop hitchhiking and start driving. The fourth law is the asterisk commandment of scale. This is the essence of the millionaire fastlane. MJ introduces the law of effection. Again, net profit equals units sold x unit profit. To get rich, you must have the ability to scale one of these variables to infinity. The narrative contrasts two characters, the local doctor and the internet entrepreneur. The doctor is smart, hardworking, and respected. He charges $200 an hour. But he violates the commandment of scale. He can only see one patient at a time. He cannot see 10,000 patients in a day. His units sold is capped by time. He is well off, but he is not fastlane wealthy. He is trading time for money, just at a higher rate. The internet entrepreneur creates a software that helps doctors manage appointments. He spends 1.000 hours building it once. But then, he can sell it to 10.000 doctors, or 100.000 doctors. His units sold is theoretically unlimited. The software can be replicated infinitely for zero marginal cost. This is the power of asterisk scale. The fastlane business must have a habitat that allows for scale. A coffee shop on Main Street has a small habitat, local traffic. A franchise system has a large habitat, national. An internet business has a global habitat, world. MJ shouts the mantra, to make millions, you must affect millions. The fifth law is the asterisk commandment of time. This is the ultimate goal. The business must eventually be able to run without you. If you have to be there to make money, you don't have a business, you have a job. The narrative describes the money tree. In the beginning, the entrepreneur must water the tree constantly. It requires 18-hour days. It requires blood, sweat, and tears. This is the active phase. But the goal is to grow the tree to a point where its roots are deep enough to find their own water. Then, the entrepreneur can step back and simply harvest the fruit. MJ contrasts this with the slow-lane concept of passive income, which usually means 5% interest on a savings account. Fast-lane passive income is business income, licensing fees, software subscriptions, rental income from real estate empires, dividends from a company you own. The fast-lane entrepreneur seeks to divorce income from time. They want to earn money while they sleep, while they vacation, and while they play with their children. The narrative warns that this is not get rich easy. It takes years of grueling, time investment to build a system that frees up your time. You pay the price up front so you don't have to pay it for the rest of your life. With the sense framework established, the narrative pivots to the execution. MJ attacks the idea guy. We all know him, the guy who whispers, I had the idea for Uber before Uber. MJ laughs at him. Ideas are worthless, he declares. Execution is everything. The owner of an idea is not the one who imagines it, but the one who executes it. The narrative introduces the concept of ***, the event versus the process, ***. The slow lane is obsessed with the event. They see the athlete signing the $100 million contract. They see the founder selling the company for $1 billion. They see the lottery winner holding the check. They think wealth is an event, a singular moment in time that changes everything. They pray for the event. The fast lane understands that the event is just the tip of the iceberg. The real wealth is created in * the process. The process is the 4 a.m. wake-up calls. The process is the missed parties. The process is the 1,000 failures before the one success. The process is the grinding, unsexy, boring work of building the business brick by brick. MJ argues that you cannot have the event without the process. If you inherit millions, event without process, you will likely lose it because you haven't built the financial muscle to keep it. This explains why lottery winners go broke. They skip the process. The narrative momentum builds as MJ describes the 3 W's of the fastlane journey: will, waiting, and wasting. Will * is the burning desire. Not just, I want to be rich, but, I must be rich. It is the refusal to accept mediocrity. Waiting * is the trap of the perfectionist. I'm waiting for the right time. I'm waiting for the economy to improve. MJ screams, there is no right time. The fastlaner acts now. They fire before they aim. They launch the imperfect product and fix it later. Wasting * is the refusal to learn. The fastlaner is a voracious learner. But unlike the academic who learns for a degree, the fastlaner learns for application. If they need to build a website, they buy a book on coding and learn it that weekend. If they need to understand taxes, they study tax law. They treat their brain as their greatest asset, constantly upgrading its software. The story takes a dark turn as MJ addresses the headwinds. When you step onto the fast lane, the wind blows in your face. The wind is composed of your friends, your family, and society. They will tell you that you are crazy. They will tell you to be realistic. They will try to pull you back into the slow lane because your success shines a bright light on their mediocrity. MJ calls these people dream stealers. He advises the reader to be ruthless with their social circle. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your friends are sidewalkers complaining about their bosses, you will become a sidewalker complaining about your boss. The fastlaner seeks out other fastlaners. They join mastermind groups. They network with people who are playing the game at a higher level. The narrative brings us to the concept of ***, the pivot, ***. MJ recounts how his limo business hit a plateau. He was making good money, but not fastlane money. He realized he was violating the commandment of scale. He was focused only on Phoenix. He had to pivot. He opened the platform to the entire United States, then the world. The lesson is that the first idea is rarely the final idea. The market will steer you. You must be flexible. You must listen to the complaints. MJ famously says, a complaint is a gift. A complaint is a map to a gold mine. If someone says, I wish this software did X, they are telling you exactly how to make money. The slowlaner hears a complaint and gets defensive. The fastlaner hears a complaint and sees an opportunity. As part 2 draws to a close, the aspiring fastlaner has the roadmap, sense, the mindset, producer versus consumer, and the strategy, process versus event. But the vehicle is still in the garage. The engine is idling. The final and most dangerous part of the journey remains. The drive, ***. How do you actually steer this vehicle at 200 miles per hour without crashing? How do you handle the inevitable failures? How do you manage the money once it starts pouring in so you don't slide back to the sidewalk? And crucially, how do you define the finish line? Is it a number in a bank account? Or is it something more profound? The story prepares to shift gears into the tactical realities of wealth preservation and the ultimate philosophy of a life lived without speed limits. Today, more than ever, we are paralyzed by the illusion of the perfect plan. We believe that before we can step onto the fast lane, we need a 50-page business plan, a team of consultants, and the blessing of a venture capitalist. But MJ DeMarco, in the final and most tactical movement of his manifesto, shatters this paralysis with the doctrine of execution. He stands before the aspiring entrepreneur and screams, "Ideas are worthless. Execution is everything." The narrative transports us to a scene where MJ is surrounded by idea guys, the people who whisper in hushed tones about their revolutionary app but never write a line of code. They are terrified that someone will steal their idea. MJ laughs at them. He realizes that an idea is merely a chemical reaction in the brain. It has a market value of 0. The owner of the idea is not the one who dreamt it, but the one who built it. He tells the story of how he built his limousine directory not by waiting for perfection, but by launching a broken version. It was ugly. It had bugs. It crashed. But it was real. It was in the market. And because it was real, the market could speak to him. This introduces the concept of the feedback loop, The slowlaner spends years perfecting a product in a basement, only to launch it and find that nobody wants it. The fastlaner launches a minimum viable product, MVP, immediately. MJ describes the sensation of the first complaint. A customer emailed him, angry that a feature didn't work. Most people would be discouraged. MJ was ecstatic. Why? Because a complaint is a signal of engagement. It means someone cares enough to be angry. He fixed the bug that night. He replied to the customer personally. The customer, shocked by the speed and humanity of the response, became a lifelong evangelist. The analysis of this stage reveals the OODA loop of business: observe, orient, decide, act. The faster you can cycle through this loop, launching, failing, fixing, relaunching, the faster you reach the fast lane. The road is paved by the asphalt of action, not the gravel of intentions. The narrative intensity builds as MJ confronts the cult of the competitor. He notices that most entrepreneurs are obsessed with their rivals. They watch their competitors' every move. They copy their features. They lower their prices to match. MJ calls this convergent thinking. It leads to a race to the bottom. If everyone is looking at each other, everyone ends up in the same place, average. MJ adopted divergent thinking. He stopped looking at his competitors and started looking exclusively at his customers. He realized that his competitors were ignoring the unsexy parts of the business: answering the phone, resolving disputes, treating people with dignity. He implemented a strategy called *SUC, superior unexpected customer service, *. In a world of automated indifference, acting like a human being is a revolutionary competitive advantage. He didn't need to be 100% better than the competition, he just had to be 1% more responsive. This service moat protected his business better than any patent ever could. The story then pivots to the financial literacy of the wealthy. Most people think getting rich solves all money problems. MJ reveals a terrifying truth: more money does not solve money problems, it only amplifies them. He tells the tragic stories of lottery winners and athletes who made millions and lost everything within a few years. Why? Because they lacked financial fitness, They treated their windfall as income to be spent, not as capital to be invested. MJ introduces the concept of the pot of gold, Once you have your liquidation event, you sell your company for $5 million or $10 million, the game changes completely. You switch from wealth creation, fast lane, to wealth preservation, slow lane. Wait, isn't the slow lane bad? MJ clarifies. The slow lane is a terrible way to get rich. But it is an excellent way to stay rich. Once you have $10 million, you don't need to take massive risks anymore. You can invest that $10 million in safe, boring bonds yielding 5%. That 5% generates $500 a year in passive income. This is the law of the fiduciary, You become the steward of your own freedom. You live off the interest, never touching the principal. The narrative describes the sensation of this endgame. It is not about buying a yacht, it is about buying sleep. You sleep well because you know that no matter what happens, market crash, recession, war, your pot of gold is generating enough cash to cover your lifestyle forever. You have achieved FU money. The narrative flow takes a philosophical turn as MJ addresses the law of attraction. He criticizes the mystical idea that you can simply manifest millions by thinking positive thoughts. He replaces it with the law of affection, The universe is a mirror. It reflects back to you the value you have created. If you want to attract millions of dollars, you must affect millions of lives. He argues that money is the echo of value. If you are not hearing the echo, it is because you are not shouting loud enough, scale, or your voice is not distinct enough, magnitude. The fastlaner does not pray for money, they pray for problems they can solve. They look at the world with opportunity goggles. Where others see a long line at the grocery store, the fastlaner sees an inefficiency waiting to be fixed. Where others see a rude waiter, the fastlaner sees a training gap waiting to be filled. They realize that the world is imperfect, and every imperfection is a business opportunity. But the journey is not just about economics, it is about choice. MJ confronts the reader with the steering wheel of life, He argues that poverty is not a circumstance, it is a series of choices. You choose to watch TV instead of learning to code. You choose to buy a car on credit instead of investing in your business. You choose to hang out with losers instead of mentors. He introduces the concept of weighted average decision matrix, WADM, This is a tool for making big life decisions. Instead of trusting your gut, you list your factors, weight them by importance, and calculate the score. This removes emotion from the equation. MJ used this to decide to move to Phoenix. He calculated that the pain of staying in Chicago outweighed the fear of moving. The analysis reveals that regret is usually the result of inaction, not action. We regret the businesses we didn't start, the risks we didn't take. The story intensifies as MJ describes the social isolation of the fast lane. When you start driving at 200 miles per hour, you leave people behind. Your old friends will not understand why you are working on a Saturday night. They will call you obsessed. They will say you have changed. And they are right. You have changed. You have mutated from a consumer into a producer. MJ advises the reader to accept this loneliness as the price of admission. He compares the fast lane to a desert crossing. You must walk through the desert of obscurity, ridicule, and hard work to reach the oasis of wealth. Most people turn back because they crave the company of the slow lane caravan. But the fastlaner walks alone, guided only by the compass of their vision. The climax of the narrative arrives with the final definition of retirement, For the slowlaner, retirement is the cessation of life. It is sitting on a porch, waiting to die. For the fastlaner, retirement is the beginning of life. It is the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want. MJ describes his life after the exit. He travels, he writes, he races cars, but he also works. Why? Because he loves it. He realized that the goal was never to stop working, the goal was to stop doing work he hated. When you don't need the money, work becomes play. The sensation of waking up on a Monday morning with 0 alarm clocks and 0 obligations is the ultimate high. It is the realization that you have conquered the finite nature of time. You have bought your life back. The narrative concludes with MJ standing in front of a mirror. Looking at the reader, he strips away the Lamborghini, the mansion, and the millions. He is left with just the man. He asks a haunting question: if you keep living the way you are living today, where will you be in 5 years? If the answer is the same place, then you are in the slow lane. He demands that you smash the rear view mirror. Your past does not define your future. It doesn't matter if you are broke, in debt, or uneducated. The fast lane is an equal opportunity road. It doesn't care about your degree, it cares about your value. He hands you the keys to the fast lane vehicle. The engine is running. The road is open. The speed limit is infinity. But you have to get in the driver's seat. You have to press the pedal. And you have to be willing to drive through the storm. Analyze the ultimate meaning that the book intends to convey. The Millionaire Fastlane is a manifesto for radical responsibility and value creation. MJ DeMarco's core message is that wealth is a choice, not a chance. It posits that the traditional path to wealth, go to school, get a job, save 10%, is a broken contract that leads to a life of mediocrity. The book serves as a deprogramming tool to shatter the consumer mindset and replace it with a producer mindset. It teaches that you are not a victim of the economy, you are the architect of your own microeconomy. The final lesson is one of urgency. Life is short. You don't have time to get rich slow. You have a duty to realize your potential now, while you are young enough to enjoy it. The climax of this journey leads to a state of unapologetic ambition. The seeker moves from being a passenger who complains about the traffic to being a driver who builds the road. They realize that the only limit to their wealth is the limit of their impact. The journey ends with the roar of an engine, fading into the horizon, leaving the slow lane in the dust. The sidewalk is for walking, the fast lane is for living.